Welcome to Small Steps. My name's Seth Potts, and I want to show you how to use the floor function to group data into buckets. Now, there's a lot of times that I've come across in crime analysis where I'm needing to round numbers up or down. I typically look for what the numbers are or counts of certain crimes, things like that. But one thing I have come across is in the software we have for radar sign is it groups things into these buckets or these groups of speed limits, typically in tens. Now, if you don't have software that does that, maybe you have something that just spits out the raw data and you have to do this yourself, is something that can be beneficial as a quick rounding, as opposed to getting everything into a pivot table and selecting different things to group. It's just an alternate way of doing it is with this floor function. The floor function has just a couple arguments here, and what we're going to look at is just a random list of numbers, speeds here, and we want to group them into these buckets of 10 miles an hour at a time. So what we're going to do is start with the floor function. Now you see here, if you have a newer version of Excel, you might have both of these. If you ever see a function like this that has this little symbol here, it just means it's an older version of a formula. Typically, they have a newer one that has maybe more intricate information you can enter to make the formula a little better. In this case, is floor.math. I think it's got an extra spot for an extra argument that we're not going to use in this necessarily. So you can use either of these. If you do this floor math, you just don't need to enter the last argument. I'm just going to do floor here. So if you have an older version, you probably just see this here. But as it says here, it rounds a number to the nearest multiple of significance. Now, what that means, we'll get to here in a second. The two arguments is the number and the significance. So the number, you can enter just a number as is, but for something like this, we're going to click on the cell that has the number we're looking for. So we're going to look in for all these speeds. We'll start with this first one, is A2, and the significance is going to be what the grouping is, what size group you want it to be in here. So for this, if we want something to be in a group of 10, we're going to enter 10. So it's going to round down for this function to the nearest 10. There is another function for ceiling, which does pretty much the same thing as this, but it rounds up. But for this, I'm going to use the floor function. So the speed that is in A2 rounded to the nearest 10th, rounding down, and it's going to match that for 30. But once you see all these, let's drag that down. Now we have all these rounded down to the nearest 10. Now, depending on what kind of report you have, what you're wanting to run, you could have this conditionally formatted to color code within certain groups. What I've done here, I like seeing a count of them, so I've just gone in and used a count if formula. This count if is just saying everything in this column here, B, if it matches 10, to count it. One count for each of those. So I have these pre-set up here. You do this one time. If you're building a report like this, you're going to run often and you're going to get new information in. You can just have that pre-built. You can add whatever speeds over here, and it will automatically have these formulas built into round down, and then these counts can already be set up as well. So you can make short work of speeds or anything like that where you're looking to have them grouped a certain way. And in the future, like I say, you can even expand this out and have graphs, charts, whatever you want. But you can do that with this simple floor formula. If you found this tutorial helpful and would like to see more, click like and subscribe. The next video coming up is going to be over using count if to count between two numbers.